In this video, I'm going to be ranking every LEGO faction that is on this list, starting of course with the first LEGO faction, the Pink Knights, right here. Now, it's an average looking faction, and I don't think it would rank particularly high on my list, but just because it's old, it was creative, and it started off LEGO Castle, I'm going to put it in the C tier. The sets were quite average as well, with the iconic yellow castle, but apart from that, I think the modern grey castles are better. Moving on, we have the King's Knights from, I believe, the 2016 LEGO Kingdom set. I actually didn't mind these. A lot of people say they were quite bad, but I'm going to put them in a solid B tier. Next we've got what I believe were the dwarves from the fantasy era. And I actually think these are great minifigures. They were small, they were detailed, they had great weapons, and that's why I'm putting them in their A tier. The Bear Knights were a collectible minifigure. They only ever had one, but I really hope they bring them back. It was very cool with the dark green and dark red color scheme, and that's why I think they're going in the A tier. I'm probably also a bit biased towards it because I do have one, as you might have seen in my medieval minifigure collection video. But apart from that, it's a great figure anyway. Moving on to the Wolfpack. I do think the Wolfpack is a particularly good faction. I'm very glad that they brought it back in the recent Town Square and collectible minifigure set, and that's why I'm going to also have to put it in B tier, simply because I think that its color scheme lacks a bit of color and a bit of creativity, so that's why it doesn't quite reach A. Moving on to the Fright Knights, I think it's another great theme. We had that recent collectible minifigure where they brought back Basil the Batlord. But apart from that, it's got a lot of red, a lot of black, and it's not too visually interesting, so it's going in the C tier. Next we have this one here. I really have no clue what the shield is, but it looks kind of terrible, so I'm putting an F. Hope that isn't too controversial for people that actually know what they're doing. Next, the Bull Knights. I believe this was also from maybe 10 or so years ago in the Kingdom series. I haven't really seen too much of these, which probably means that they're not too relevant, and so I'm putting them in the D tier as well. Next, we've got the Black Falcon Knights. We've got that classic blue and black and silver color scheme. They look good with both silver and black armor, and they are a very popular faction. They're also one of the longest running, and so I'm going to have to put them in S tier, just because they're so good. Next we've got the Forestmen, another great classic faction that was brought back with the 2022 Lion Knights Castle. They do a particular good job of populating the forests, and so I'm going to put them in the A tier. The dark variants, which are the more criminal cousins of the Forestmen, I'm going to have to put them in the C tier, or perhaps D, just because I think they really haven't differentiated themselves as a group, and instead just take out some of the color of the original Forestmen theme. Next we got the Lion Knights. I think this is a particularly good one. I don't know if it quite has the cleanliness in its design with that sleek black falcons to compare it to, so I'm going to put it in A tier because I think it is a great design, but I do think the primary colors kind of lose some of its sophistication and make it look a little bit basic. Next we've got what I believe are the Vikings. I think the Vikings were a great job. They had a lot of sets, but of course not as many as a lot of the other themes, but in the sets they did a very good job. I like the round shields and distinct look. I'm going to have to put them in the S tier also because of their copper armor. Next we've got the Raven Knights. These also came in a collectible minifigure and they have not brought them back since. And even though it is a terrific figure, I'm considering dropping it down to the A tier because they haven't brought it back, limiting the access and skyrocketing the prices. But based on the theme itself, I'm going to have to put it in the S tier. But it would be great if we got a few more sets or minifigures. Next we've got the Crown Knights, which I believe were also from the Kingdoms line. So I'm going to have to put them in here in B with the Lion Knights, which I believe are pretty much the same thing. Next we've got older variations of the Lion Knights. To me, they're all the same, so I'm just going to put them in the list based on how I rank their shield designs. This shield I'm putting around here. It's nothing special, but it's nothing too bad either. And the other shield looks a bit basic, but it also looks more like a Scottish clan. I'm not really sure why. Perhaps it's the flag of Scotland reminding me of this design, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. I'm noticing a lack of an E in this ranking list, and I'm not really sure why. I didn't make this myself, but never mind, let's keep going. We've got the Scorpion Knights, also from the 2016 Kingdoms line, if I remember correctly. But I wasn't a fan of these. The red and black, of course, have the evil stereotypes, but they're not a particularly compelling design or faction. F. These ones, I have no clue, but I really don't like the octagonal shields. I think they look kind of terrible, and they remind me more of Roman designs than medieval, so another F tier. Next we have this very old dragon, which I believe were the original Dragonite, where the classic green dragon mold came from. And they did a lot for the history of LEGO Castle, but the design itself is kind of average. I'm putting it in C tier. Next we've got the other variation of the Dragonites, where they came back a few years later, a bit darker and a bit more evil, and a bit less compelling in my opinion. We've got the 2015 Dragon Knights, if I remember correctly, which I think were a really nice green version, where they came back stronger, and so I'm putting them in the B tier. We are noticing a bit of a bell curve shape in my distribution here. I'm not quite sure why, but if you want, we can do some statistical analysis in a different video. Of course, I'm just joking there. For the other Lion Knights, I'm noticing the similarities between the Dragon and Lion Knight logos, and seeing as they were around the same time, if I remember correctly, I'm going to have to put them in the same spot because I think they were quite similar. Next we've got the Trolls. I don't know too much about these, but I do know that they had a lot of flags, a lot of ships, and a lot of really bad sets. But they were kind of needed, and they did a lot for LEGO Fantasy, especially with their big figures and the rare good sets that they did have. So I'm putting them in C tier. And now, since we have such a really nice distribution curve here, I'm not even going to rank this last one. Just kidding, of course I will. But except I'm not sure what it is or where to put it, so I'm going to have to drop it in D tier. Just because I like that round shield design, even if I've never seen it before. That's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, of course. I'll see you next time. And let me know if you would have ranked it differently, or what some of these factions are that I did not know what they were in the comments below. Of course, my merch store is now up and running. I've got plenty of great new designs to go see. My personal favorite this week is the hoodie in red, blue, yellow, and black, I believe it's called, based on the French Pied Mondrian painting.